Namaste, namaste, and good evening, everyone. So we will now today continue with the few slogas that we have selected in the concise Gita intelligence from the Karma Pada, specifically from first chapters 1 to 6. So we actually did detailed. We had a detailed look at the few of the first slogas that we are chanting here also. That is basically the 216, 247, 248, 250, and 262 and 63 from the second chapter. We discussed all those slogas, which talked about the the significance of understanding the self and the characteristics in terms of for the characterless self. Okay, that is the thing. Self is actually infinite, so it is beyond the scope of any definitions. But still, Krishna went on to describe the various aspects of self as you can in the manifested world. How do you actually see the self? So the self's properties were actually defined in the second chapter, and we saw that, as well as we looked at uh, the fundamental definitions which gave an overview of Karma Yoga. So, if you look at it, it is what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is all about working selflessly. First thing is selflessness is Karma Yoga, which means that you need to focus your mind on, or the motivations on, supreme motivations, which is called as Atma Sandosh, Atma, the joys of the inner self. Yeah. So that is basically what selflessness is all about. Then that selflessness was equated to how to be translated into actions in this world. First, of course, to have selflessness in your thought and therefore actions, you need to be of equanimous mind. So equanimity of mind was called as Karma Yoga, one aspect of Karma Yoga. And then this equanimity, if you are able to work in this world with equanimity, in whatever you are doing, then you are bound to gain in skills and dexterities. So, therefore, dexterity of Karma Yoga or dexterity of skills is also called as Karma Yoga. So, we have selflessness is Karma Yoga, equanimity of mind is Karma Yoga, and dexterity of skills is Karma Yoga. So, we know the three fundamental aspects of Karma Yoga. So, if somebody asks you what is Karma Yoga, then it is all very simple. It is selflessness, equanimity of mind, and dexterity of skills. That makes Karma Yoga. Three things. So this is the overview, the bird's eye view of Karma Yoga as given in the second chapter, which is a summary of the whole of Bhagavad-Gita. Then Krishna also defined that all these aspects will actually be in danger if you are stuck with anger. So selfish desires are the root of all anger that we experience in life. Therefore, we need to give up selfish desires if we were ever to get rid of anger. Because anger leads to delusion, and this delusion is the reason for the ladder of fall, how mankind perishes, because these delusions actually lead to the destruction of thought power. The destruction of thought power is the death of mankind. So every individual, if we do not express our thoughts, are able to think properly, then we are no more human beings. So that is the destruction of man. Therefore, the ladder of fall was also described. So this is basically the summary of the whole of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2. Then chapter 3, we looked at 315 and 314, two of the slogas in the last session. These two slogas start with the detailed Karma Yoga, which talks about selflessness, equanimity of mind, and dexterity of skills as the three perspectives of Karma Yoga, or the three aspects of Karma Yoga. So, the first aspect of the detailed Karma Yoga, as given in chapter 3, is that But whatever actions you do in this world, if they are rooted in sacrifice, the principle of sacrifice, then that such actions will definitely help to enrich you as well as the surroundings. So whatever we are engaged in the family, in the society, at workplaces, in professional workplaces, etc., your thoughts that are tuned towards sacrifices, not sacrifice meaning you are not focused on your personal gains only. So personal gains, when you are focused purely on your personal gains and whatever you do is what matters to you, then you are selfish and you are not making any sacrifices. But the moment you start thinking in systems, global, large, teams, society, family, etc., and expand the scope of your thought from merely satisfying the senses and the mind and the body for you, then you are automatically starting to make sacrifices. So sacrifices itself, can make small sacrifices to large sacrifices. So if you are not yet making any sacrifices and you feel that you are selfish, then start small. That's what Karma Yoga teaches us also. Start small. Start seeing that your thoughts and actions help at least a few others, at least one another initially, and then more and more the number of people who are benefited because of your thoughts and actions, your decisions, etc., then you grow. So all sacrifices are enriching. That will enrich everyone around you, your society, your world, etc. So all sacrifices and whatever you do as sacrifice will definitely enrich. That is the warranty certificate given by Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita. Any sacrifice you make, it will enrich you. Enrich. So there is no question of a sacrifice going waste. And why? Why? Because this sacrifice, the mentality of sacrifice is the power that drives all of us, all the humanity living together. Not only humanity, but any living being, any being on earth. All of them depend on each other. So sacrifices are the root of this, collaborative existence. And this is basically seen in planetary motions in the universe itself. But coexistence and expansion rules the physical manifestation of universe. The physical manifestation came from the infinite. So the infinite actually drives the physical manifestation, therefore drives this coexistence and expansion as the root of existence, manifested existence. Manifested meaning physically perceivable, seeable, experienceable. That is it. Whereas infinite is not perceivable, is not seeable, is not experienceable. The manifested universe is seeable, experienceable, and therefore the manifested infinite is the universe. And this universe is governed by the underlying principles of coexistence and expansion. That underlying principle is the core of the universe. You can call it as the self of the universe, the coexistence and existence and expansion. The power of coexistence and expansion is the self of the universe. So that these powers combined together, you can call it as the universal self. The universal self, therefore, is the manifested form of the infinite, which is the infinite self, which you can call as the infinite self. The infinite self is non-perceivable, non-definable because it is attributeless and there is no manifestation. It is in the unmanifested state. From the unmanifested state, the universe emerged. And then that universe that emerged from the unmanifested self is called as the manifested self or the universal self. And that universal self exists because it is being governed by these powers of coexistence and expansion. So powers and coexistence of expansion is the critical path of the universe. It is also the bottom line of the universe. So the self, it is the universal self. So Karma Yoga says, Karma theory says, Karma Yoga theory says that sacrifices are the root of everything. And these sacrifices actually rest on the infinite because sacrifice means it is driven by coexistence and expansion. So something that is driven by coexistence and expansion means it is driven by the infinite. Therefore, sacrifices are actually based on the infinite. So in very simple terms, whatever we do as a sacrifice is divine. In the sense that with that we are directly reflecting the infinitude. So the moment I start doing something for others, I start thinking and then translating that thought into action for the help of others, sacrificing personal gains, selfishness, sacrificing selfishness. Then I am automatically pulling myself up to the level of the infinitude. So if you can exist in that mode throughout, day in and day out, that means you are in that state of the infinite self. So this is basically what we have discussed so far of Karma Yoga. A couple of other, 2 or 3 other verses from this chapter we will be taking. From this, third chapter we have one more, and then fourth chapter we have a few 3 or 4 of slogas that actually define the essence of Karma Yoga. So let's move ahead today with the next sloga. This is from where we left off, which is about the sacrifice that I was talking about. So if you look at the screen, the infographic, you can see that the imperishable or the infinite is imperishable, because infinite means it is always there. It was never born, never, nor will it die. That means it was always there, and it is there, and it will be there throughout in all 3 spans of time: the past, the present, and the future. All 3 time spans. If something exists in all these 3 time spans, then it is called as real in Advaita Vedanta. In the Upanishad theory, it is talked of as the one that is real. Anything that does not exist in all 3, is called as unreal. So that is the difference between real and unreal. The unreal, mithya. So mithya means that is something that does not exist in all 3 frames of mind, time. Anything that exists in all 3 only is called as real, satyam, the truth. So if you really look at it, only the infinite is real. Brahman is real. Infinite is real. Nothing else is real. Even the universal self, the universe is not real, because before the Big Bang, where was the universe? It was not there. In the past, it was not there. And after the big inverse, inverse bang, or whatever you call it, after maybe 15, 16 billion years from now, there will be nothing again. So during this period, now we are in the now of the universe. Somewhere in the now of the universe, as far as the universe is concerned. It will in the future it will go off. In the past it was not there. Only now it is existing. Therefore it is unreal. It is mithya. So only the infinite is real. That is what Vedanta. The meaning of what Vedanta proclaims is to be clearly understood. Mithya. Mithya is all about this. It is this that they are talking about. It is not that, in the real life, within this universe, within this life, we are there, and then you see a lot of things, and, you don't have to philosophically consider it as, all mithya and then not do anything about it. Because it is, after all, mithya. No, that is a very fatalistic way of looking at life. Life needs to be lived. The life needs to be lived for enrichment, coexistence, and expansion. That is when you take yourself up to infinitude, so that you become real. Meaning you imbibe the infinitude, and therefore you have that innate understanding, innate faith that myself is not unreal. It is real. It is no death and no birth, etc. So that is basically this imperishable. So that is why it is called as imperishable. Because it doesn't perish. Because it is real. And from that imperishable arose the universe. Manifested infinitude. The manifested self. And this, when it is manifested, it automatically comes with it the characteristics of all things physical, which is what gunas are, sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, and all those kinds, which we are going to look at in detail. We have already looked at it in the first run, but we are going to again see it in more detail in practical sense. So the universe, with all its characteristic properties, evolved. And within this universe, evolved the individual, each one of us physically, considering ourselves as a different world, me, mine, and, acquiring things for myself, etc. That individual came up with. this individual is also driven by this power of coexistence and expansion. If driven by coexistence and expansion, then that means we are also driven by infinitude. And this is basically what Bhagavad-Gita is teaching us. The Upanishads is teaching us. If having taken shape in this world, having taken birth in this world, it is our prerogative and it is our responsibility to make sure that we exist in this universe in a coexisting and expansive manner, enriching the world around us. So that is the dharma of human being. The dharma of human being, therefore, is to enrich this world through our thoughts and actions. And for that, the infinitude has actually worked through physical medium and evolved it into a shape where we have landed with something called as the mind. And that basically we are going to see in the fourth chapter also, how that has to be used. So we have reached the state where we can think and we have a mind, and therefore we need to think in terms of coexistence and expansion, initially selflessly with equanimity of mind and dexterity of skills. So, and be engaged in acts of sacrifice, because then we are in effect, exuding that power of the infinitude. So the individual, that power of infinitude coming out as thoughts which are enriching and coexist, and which enables coexistence. What is it? It is called as three powers. That's the creative, productive, and enriching powers within us. The creative power, the power to create, the power to maintain and enrich what we create, and the power also to, basically to enrich and, taking away all the negativities from it. So these three powers were actually, we have idolized it. We have given a manifested form to it as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. The Trimurtis, creative, productive, and enriching forces within us are called the Trimurtis that enrich, that actually powers us. So the Trimurtis, the creative power, productive power, and enriching power, the Trimurtis are the infinite power working through us. So it is a question of now just tapping those Trimurtis. So let the Trimurtis actually guide us in all our thoughts and actions is basically what Krishna is saying. So when the individual working through for the blessings of the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and all this Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are actually, when your actions are geared towards helping others, sacrifices, when it is rooted, all your thoughts, creative thoughts are rooted in sacrifice. Productive thoughts are rooted in sacrifice. Enriching thoughts are rooted in sacrifice. You become Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And those actions are typically, therefore, going to be sacrifices only. And this becomes the fertile. This sacrifices become the fertile ground for enrichment and a world which can sustain this humanity. So that is, the sacrifices are the fertile ground for the individual. So that's a loop. This is basically what happens in this world. What should happen in this world of living. These sacrifices in Karma Yoga is said that the imperishable is directly the sacrifice. So you can see our actions in this world, our life in this world. Sorry, I'll just point out. Our life in this world is all about engaging our creative, productive, and enriching capabilities through actions that are sacrifices, which enriches us as well as the world. And because this imperishable, infinite Brahman is the root of all sacrifices. So you can see how we are milking that Kamadhenu, Brahman, and using the milk of coexistence and expansion in our life to enrich ourselves and the society. That is the process of Karma Yoga. And in fact, exactly these analogies are used in third chapter to describe these things, Kamaduk. So that's basically the direct manifestation of all the sacrifices are basically the reflections of infinitude. Now, if you actually take this model that is described in Karma Yoga, that which I am highlighting now, if you directly actually map it onto the world of our work and other things, you can see that imperishability is definitely not possible in the physical world. Imperishability, because anything in this physical world will perish. Right. Now, what is the best that we can reach? The close point to which we can reach imperishability, it is sustainability in the practice. We are looking at the modern world in terms of the things that we produce, the world we create, etc. Sustainability is the direct manifestation of imperishability. So we can say sustainability, the power of sustainability is Brahman, the infinitude. And this power of sustainability should be driving everything in this universe, the global needs. So the global needs, the universe mapped as global needs. The global needs are powered by sustainability. When global needs are powered by sustainability, our productivity in the individual sense, each one of us, if we are driven by such thoughts of global needs, and the highest form of motivation for sustainability, then our productivity will become the fertile ground, will become the fertile ground for sustainability. I mean, a productive, coexistence, and so you can call it as the nourishing productivity. It becomes fertile ground for nourishing productivity. By using the various kinds of creative, productive, enriching actions, which we have strategies, and those strategies are basically what is driven is the details given in the Karma Yoga in terms of what kind of attitudes that you should bring forth into your life, what kinds of motivations should you be powered by, what kind of aptitudes that are there in human beings, and how do you integrate these aptitudes. How do you actually, with all these attitudes and aptitudes and motivations, how do you work in this world? You have to work in this world with a pure sense of duty, which means that you are not, going after things that you like, only like it is. So therefore, you have to shun likes and dislikes. And you should also shun your attachment to the results of the actions, because actions, you do your actions. What you get is not in your control. That's the law of karma in second chapter has described that. So you need to get your eyes out of that result and then do your focus on process and do your work. That is basically karma sannyasa, fifth chapter. And then you achieve a state of mind which is full focus on what is required to be done, with the actual motivation also in focus. So that is karma yoga, the details. That is the given, and for that we have several practical examples that we discussed during the discussions or run through chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6 in Practical World. We will again go through some of those in detail as we progress through some of the core slogas that define Bhagavad-Gita. So this is basically the model in the physical world of sustainable growth and productivity, based on strategies, micro strategies to power the self. I'm calling it as strategics or analytical strategies, which the strategics is not an English word, but maybe we will introduce that term, strategics, to imply analytical strategies that can help to actually connect with the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva within us, and to invoke their powers of creativity, productivity, and enrichment, rooted in sacrifices to build a sustainable world. So that's the idea. All the details in the Bhagavad Gita are geared towards that. How do you do that in your work? So you can know, every one of you, especially those who are interested in practically applying it to your life, in professional life, etc., think about your daily situations at workplaces. And how can we translate these motivations into action in the world, in your world, the professional world, in your professional workplace, that becomes the world for you. So the projects that you are doing, the product development that you are doing, or the services that you are rendering, services, products, or applications, projects, whatever it is, that is your world. So how do I refine my requirements, motivations, or my intentions. How do I refine that so that it is geared towards the joys of the self, the quality, utility, precision, and accuracy aspects of the work, which we discussed. Tupa. Quality, utility, precision, and accuracy aspects, which was what we discussed in the last session also. So if we can actually think of channeling your mind towards attaining quality, utility, precision, and accuracy in whatever I do at work for the product, for the project, for the services that I am doing, then that is basically, rooting your mind to Karma Yoga. Then, okay, first my motivations are cleaned, and I am looking at this QPA, quality, utility, precision, and accuracy. Always, in whatever I do. In various practical things you can think of in your specific areas. Then I will work in that frame of mind with the attitude of sacrifice, which is enshrined in the 4 attitudes that were described in chapter 3. That is Yajna, Tyaga, Samarpana, and Prasada Bhavas. So if we can bring Yajna Bhava, so how do you bring Yajna Bhava? How do you bring Tyaga Bhava? How do you bring Prasada Bhava, etc. into my work? So every day work, every hour in your workplace. You go at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, be at the office, start working in an office table, laboratory, wherever it is, on the field. You think of Yajna Bhavam, Tyaga Bhavam, Samarpana Bhavam, and Prasada Bhavam in the things that you do. That is how you bring forth the attitudes into your workplace. Then you can think about the aptitudes that we are going to talk about in the next chapter, which we will come to later. The aptitudes, for fundamental aptitudes, that how do you bring that in? How do you integrate that in? That to enrich creativity, productivity, and enrichment is basically what 4th chapter is all about. But before that, the attitudes, we talked about the attitudes, and that is how, we have now in that 3rd chapter only. So attitudes is basically what is being shaped. And with that, the aspect of actions in this world is being looked at. So if you look at we will look at a little bit more on the, productivity and products and sustainability aspect in a practical sense. So I'm in these sessions, I'm looking at a more final detail about the practical applications in the workplaces. Therefore, I will go into a little bit into that in detail, not just the sloga and its direct meaning. So let's look at that now. This is basically the last session we looked at the 4 attitudes, the Yajna, Tyaga, Samarpana, and Prasada Bhava with all its attendant details. We have seen that in the first run when we went through 18 chapters, as well as in the last last session also, about the details of Yajna, Tyaga, Samarpana, Prasada Bhavas in practical terms of cooperating endeavor, singing differences, rising above self-interests, and working for a common cause, trying to negotiate and then bring together people with a sense of detachment and, with a sense of foresight, etc., and dedicatedly working with the sense of duty. And being abundant in our mindset, positive, always positive. Yes, reversals will come. You will be faced with difficulties, challenges, reverses, negative reactions. But still you will not give up. You will be always powered by positivity. And how you move forward is basically what we talked about as the 4 fundamental attitudes. Now, secret of success is basically the core theme today that I wanted to discuss. But so we are going to get into that in detail. And that is only one sloga. But we will see so much of details in practical application. So let's look at that now. For sustainable success, for sustainability of this world, what are the patterns of intelligence that are described in the chapter on Karma Yoga is basically what we are looking at in now. So the path that for sustainable success is all actions. The first thing that you should understand is all your actions should be based on focus and dedication. Focused and dedicated. You should be. Samarpana bhava. Where should it be? That is the thing. Now, where should it be focused? Okay, I should be focused when I am doing my work on the salary I will get at the end of the month. That is one possibility. That is what generally everybody is. And therefore, there is a problem of quality that happens. Instead, Gita is giving us the actual solution to the problem. What is it? The focus and dedication on me. It has to be on me. Me meaning what? It is not selfish mind, interest. The generally when we say on me, we are looking at okay, on me means okay, I have to get the highest, biggest salary and biggest bonus, the biggest power, raise in power and all those things. Or on me, when you say, but that is not the me that Krishna is talking about. Krishna is talking about the me as the supreme motivations. That supreme motivations is what is called as kripa. Quality, utility, precision, and accuracy are the facts or the facets on which you should be actually fully focused on in whatever you do, irrespective of what you gain. It may be, sometimes, you may have to sacrifice a lot of things for quality, but do it. On me means on the supreme motivations. Mayi sarvani karmani is what Krishna has said. Just one phrase. Mayi sarvani karmani. So when you say Mayi sarvani karmani, it is with just three Sanskrit words. And you can say on me or fully focused on me. And it actually fails to give you the multifacetedness of the wisdom of that intelligence. That is what I would like to discuss on. So on me, all actions are based with focus and dedication on me, for me, unto me, etc. Supreme motivations, Krupa, unto me, unto quality, unto utility, unto precision, unto accuracy. You give everything, your mind to that. Then what will happen to the work that we carry out? On me. And how? So therefore, that means it is that motivations. Therefore, your mind is fully established in Kupa. Quality, utility, precision, and accuracy. And you start doing the work. Perform your work mindfully. Mindfully. When you have to do your work mindfully, without any selfishness, without any ego, and without any agitations of the mind. Actually, it is on the right, it is without anxiety. Okay, without anxiety. I think there is an error in the way it is written there. Without anxiety on the right side, it has to be without anxiety. You have to perform that work. Okay, without anxiety. Without anxiety, without agitations, and without ego. That is mindfulness. That is what is called as mindfulness. You engage in your work. So that is the prescription given by Krishna. So this is basically when you say on me, supreme motivations, you have actually the right attitudes towards sacrifice. The mental conditioning is right attitude, which is focused on sacrifice in all your ideation and innovation. In the sense of the ideas that you bring forth, and how do you actually come up with solutions to that? So that your productivity is now based on this mental attitude of right attitude of sacrifices. So that is basically what is called as all actions based on focus and dedication on me, supreme motivations. And in the aptitude side, our mind's aptitude to focus and dedication is brought up. Okay, so it is a mental revolution that needs to take place in doing the things. And this is basically the diagram which I was talking about previously also, in the last diagram also, last slide also. The mental aptitude of focus and dedication, focusing and dedicating on the work. That is the mind sector, mind's power, focus and dedication. So that focus and dedication need to be now established on Kupa, meaning you should be anticipating the successes and happinesses that can that can be brought about by being by being able to work with quality. Output being called total quality. Absolutely wonderful things that you do in this, whatever work you are doing. The best piece of documentation that you write, the best piece of programming code that you write, the best piece of part that you produce from your manufacturing unit or whatever. You think about that initially, in anticipation, anticipate that joy before you start doing the work. Before going to work in the morning, right after you get up and having your breakfast, think about the call, anticipate the happiness that you will derive in your day. At the end of the day, you have done a lot of things with quality. Anticipate it. Think about that. Brain has got this wonderful capability to give you happiness even without achieving anything, even without getting something that is of happiness for you. We always talk about the happiness of eating laddu can be actually recreated in the mind even without you getting the laddu, but just thinking about the laddu. That's it. Because the happiness, generation of happiness is not the sugar content in the laddu that goes inside the brain or something like that. The happiness is derived by a chemical inside the brain called as oxytocin. So to generate oxytocin inside the brain is enough to give you the feeling of happiness. And which can be done by thinking about the things in the outside world and connecting it to your experiences, even without experiencing it. That is neuroscience. So this is basically what Gita Krishna was talking about. Priya, Moda and Pramoda. Priya, anticipation of happiness is enough for you to be happy initially. Okay, these are not just daydreaming that I am talking about. You should understand that. We are talking about practical ways of attaining success. So, first thing for that is to start thinking about success. Start thinking about the things that will lead you to success for quality, utility, precision, and accuracy. Think about that before you start your work. While you are sitting at home, getting ready to work, while you are eating your breakfast, while you are driving to your office, while you are reaching the office and then getting settled in the initial 10-15 minutes, think about these successes. And what happens? That will give oxytocin in the brain. Serotonin is another chemical that is generated because of a predominance of oxytocin. So what happens is the feeling of energy, the feeling of positivity comes in, abundance, prasada bhava, immediately takes control of you. When you start imagining the success, imagining the happiness of the success that you will get, what is happening is the prasada bhava is gripping you now. And all of you have experienced that, isn't it? In the sense of when you are happy, you do more. When you are happy, you do things very well. The moment you are down, dejected, your efficiency suffers, quality suffers. So the first step is to inject this positivity into your brain so that you actually start creating this prasada bhava within you, anticipating the happiness. The second is, of course, start doing it, and then you take the first step and start rolling. In fact, you plan for the first 15 minutes or half an hour, depending on the nature of work you do. Half an hour, you sit at your table and this plan with the happiness about the success. You plan, okay, if I want to have that quality in my service, that quality in my product, that quality in my project execution, etc. What are the steps that I should do today? You write it down, plan it down, stepwise break it down. The work breakdown structure or whatever you call it, put it up. Thinking about this success. So it is giving energy to plan, anticipation. And then attainment. Then what is it that is required? You have planned out your work break structure. breakdown structure, and then you start taking, you don't sit there procrastinating. Just start doing it or getting it done. That is every moment or in that path of progress, you will start feeling happy because initially you have planned 10 steps or whatever. And then you are now going through that path. First step, second step, third step, fourth step. Every step you are seeing that you are making progress. And therefore you are being driven by that happiness of attainment. This happiness of attaining what you have planned for is now in progress. Again, it is driving you with positivity, the prasada bhava. And ultimately, the results will start coming in at the end of the day, and enjoy it. Enjoy the moment at that point in time. So, Priya Moda and Pramoda is what we are all living for and what we should be living for. But that Priya Moda and Pramoda should be connected to the value systems of coexistence and expansion or sacrifice. Then you are actually tapping the self. Priyamada and Pramada for the self is now happening inside you. This is something that you can do every day in workplace. Every day you can practice this and you will attain this. Of course, there will be some days where you may feel dejected, but then at that point, then consciously bring forth these energies by, personally, I have also experienced that, sometimes there is something very important and tough and, you are not going anywhere kind of situation. And the natural tendency for human beings, normal human beings, would be to actually become dejected and then not put in the energy required for you to actually fight that challenge. Instead, we sit idle, we procrastinate, and we start doing other things which are not required to be done immediately. But because at least let me do something, and then give up on this challenge. Instead, catch it by the bulls, by the horns, and then start doing this planning. Initially, okay, this is it. I am not getting head or tail of what is required to be done. What do? I sit there, put it down. What are the problems that I am facing? Issues. Write it down. What are the difficulties? What are my knowledge deficits? Where have I an issue? What is it that I do not know? What is it that I do not have in possession so that I can start work? List out those things, not in possession, what I lack in knowledge deficit, etc., etc. Put it down in concrete words. The moment you start putting that down, you will actually, that process of writing down your knowledge deficits, the process of writing down your lack of resources, etc., will actually, the details when it is being written down on a paper and a book or whatever, things will start, you will start seeing that light of opportunities is coming, or that you are starting to find solutions to those problems. It could even be that, yes, you have to go out and meet somebody, you have to talk to somebody, you have to get the help of somebody, or, it could be anything. And then you will actually start rolling. That when you actually start in thinking in terms of anticipation, attainment, and enjoyment, you actually reach that solution of this is basically what is called as QPA motivation: quality, utility, precision, and accuracy motivation, driven on me, all actions based on focus and dedication upon me, supreme motivations. Have the mindset like that, established, and finally established in Cuba. And everything is geared towards Cuba, not for, what will happen to me, why I should, not those kind of worries, or if I do, I will get that, this, etc. No, none of those things. It is about quality that I am bringing forth in my work. Utility, precision, and accuracy that I bring forth in my work is basically what you are worried about. Established in that quality, utility, precision, and accuracy, I throw out all kinds of distractions that my mind brings in and perform mindfully, without any ego, without any anxieties, and without any agitations. I go forward. So this is the pattern for intelligence of sustainable success, and this is basically what will lead you to sustainability, imperishability, or infinitude. So What is that sloga that teaches us this? That is the 30th sloga of chapter 3. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigadhajvaraha. Renouncing the results of, so the standard, straightforward meaning that you will find in most sources of Bhagavad-Gita would be renouncing the results of your actions to the joys of the inner self, with the mind centered fully on the self. Carry out your work now without any agitations, without sans any regrets for the past, nor anxieties about the future. That's basically what it is, what is written. Mayi sarvani. So let's look at it a little bit more in detail. Mayi sarvani karmani. All actions unto the self. This is basically what we discussed previously now. Unto the self. What is that? The motivations for the inner self. The joys of the self. Anything. What I do will always be focused on the joys of the self, nothing, not my whims and fancies or egocentric wishes, but joys of the self. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasadhyatma chedasa. Sanyasya, renouncing. That is, I reject everything that is beyond this, nothing that is not tuned to the joys of the self, I reject. Sanyasya adhyatma chedasa. Of the true nature of that joys of the self. What is required for the quality? What is required for the utility? What is required for precision? What is required for I am centered only on that. My thoughts, actually, sanyasadhya adhyatma chetasa, meaning my thoughts, the intellect is fully on that utility, precision, accuracy. So you should actually understand what quality means in your work. I'm doing something. What does quality mean? I'm doing specific kind of work at the, in a hospital or in a chartered accounting firm or in a school or in a college. I'm teaching. What do I do? So what do you mean by quality in teaching? What do you mean by quality in, auditing processes? What do you mean by quality in programming for a specific implementation, etc., etc., etc.? What do you mean by rigging up something, some hardware or something, so that I'm building a system, an electronic system? What do you mean by quality? So you should understand what do you mean by quality in doing that. Okay, when I'm cooking at the house, when I'm cooking, let's say I'm cooking sambar for the day. So what is required? What do you mean by quality of the sambar? You have to be, you have to think about the various aspects that bring about quality in cooking sambar. Everything, for anything you do, think about that. Adhyatma chetasa, that mind has to be fully understanding what is the process and what is it that you want to achieve in terms of quality. And what do you mean by quality? What do you mean by quality? Is specifically to be understood. Adhyatma chetasa. So this is the first line. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. Now, once you understand this and we are in tune with the joys of the self, and then what do you do? That is, we'll look at that before. Just see this half once again. Renouncing the results of all your decision actions. I mean, I'm not looking at the results, but the process only. To the joys of the inner self, with the mind full and the intellect. Mind meaning it is intellect and the emotions. Intellect and emotions both. Fully centered on that joys of the self, the quality, utility, precision, accuracy aspects. So it is not selfishness that is driving me, but it is selflessness that is driving me fully. That is what sannyasa, adhyatma chetasa means. It is not ego that is driving me. It is my self that is driving my mind, body, and mind, intellect, and the body. So diagrammatically, you can see it as this. Selfishness, that is not what we mean. Selflessness. What is selflessness? It is self driving you. Joys of the self driving you, not ego that is driving you. This is what is called as Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyas Sadhyatma Chetasa. So, powered by intrinsic motivations. So, that is what is called as supremely motivated by the joys of the self. Okay, so that is the first line. Then, Nirashi Nirmamaha, without ashas, without desires, selfish expectations. It is not mere just the selfish desires or selfish expectations. Nirasha. Asha is selfish desire. So without any selfish desires, what is driving you is system level thinking. What is driving you is the team's requirement. What is driving you is the project requirement. What is driving you is the team requirement. What is driving you is the product requirement. What is driving you is the service quality requirements. What is driving you is the customer's expectations, not yours. Nirashi. Nirmamaha. And without the feelings of I, me, etc. For me, I'm doing this for me so that I can get a bigger position. I can earn more money. I will get a bigger bonus this year. I want to do this. And I want to be happy, enjoy the world, enjoy everything with the money that I gain, all those things. That is nirmamaha. Without that is nirmamaha. I, my feelings, and that egocentric ideas, etc. is not there. Vigata jvaraha. Shunning, Vigata jvara, mind's agitation. Shunning bhutva, Vigata jvaraha, mind's agitations. Mind's agitation means if ever we are running after my own selfish requirement, you will always be, every stage you will be worried about, will I actually get what I want? Will I be happy, etc., etc. You will be thinking about, and then, or you will be afraid of your limitations and your lack of knowledge, etc., and getting agitated. So don't do that, because you know that if you have a knowledge deficit, you know what is the process to get to fill the knowledge deficits, because you have started thinking about it. You understand what is required. You are trying to understand what is required, even in getting to the source of knowledge and acquiring that knowledge and what is required for by getting training, etc., etc., etc. You will have. So you are without mind, and you have set a timetable. You have set a time fixed progress in between progress markers, and you are trying to achieve each one of those markers only. But you are not worried about the final result. So it is talking about the Gita Acharya is now talking about 3 wasteful channels of mental energy that dissipate our efficiencies. In normal average person's efficiencies are thrown away because of these 3 wasteful channels. What are they? Expectation is one of the things. Expectation always, because you are looking at the results in the future, into the future. That is expectations. I want this, I should get that. That expectation. Second is ego. My ahanga, in terms of physical ahanga, ego. I some people have this tendency of, I have scored, high top rank in the university or whatever, and then, you're always a topper. And suddenly you come and join a workplace, and you find that you don't know anything. But you have a reputation to keep. What is the reputation? You are the topper, academically brilliant, and you come and join a company, and then you find that even the smallest things that everybody is doing there, you don't know. So, what is happening is you start regretting about the past. Oh, why I should have prepared for this. And why is it happening? It is happening because of ego. Because, I have a reputation to keep. That reputation to keep becomes the thing that defeats you. That is ego. So ego, that is why the Gita Acharya says ego is the regrets from the past. The ego, ahankar that we have is because of all, regrets from the past. So, ego is the second channel of wastage of our mental energies. Then comes trepidation or agitations. Trepidation or agitation. So the words are English words. So if you don't find, it is not just about it is simple things like agitation. You can call it as agitation, and that agitation is what worries. The present worries. No, I am not able to do something. What should I do? And then you run around doing things without any control. Some people, when they meet with a challenge or a difficult situation, they start running like cockroaches. You actually start disturbing a group of cockroach or even a single cockroach, let's say, while it is sitting in a corner. The moment you start poke it, what happens? It starts running here and there. It doesn't know where to run, so it runs here and there. Similarly, when faced with challenges at the workplace, etc., many people run hither and thither without any plan. They start doing things without even thinking. They possibly are doing wrong things. But instead sit down and then spend some time thinking about sanyasa adhyatma chetasa. If you can do that, you can come up with a plan, find out your deficiencies. You can take assessment of your deficiencies, and you can take an analysis of where you can fill up those deficiencies, who to approach, what to look at, and all those things, and then take what are the steps. The baby steps that you need to take, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can achieve that. So you start planning, and then you are controlling. So each one of those small steps, the knowledge deficiencies will be lesser in those 4 single steps, and then you start filling that. And that is the way you take strides in progressing with what you have to do. So that is what the controlling of these 3 channels mean. Channels of wastage means it is that using this is the power of now. Your present is because of your past, yes, but the past is gone. And this today, the present is going to be the past for the future. So you cannot change your past. The presently, in whatever situation you are in, you cannot change that. Because change by changing the past. It is not possible. You have already, that is gone. Past is gone. So you are now. Now what you have to do? You have to do something now. Then tomorrow, this past will not haunt you. So you have to do something now. Because future is something that is yet to come. So don't worry about it. Hence, focus on the present because it is the now. That is the power of now. That thought is what is called as the power of now. So use that. That is what this sloga is teaching us. So, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasadhyatma chedasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudvaswa vigadajvara. This is actually the secret of success. The secret of success given in Karma Yoga, chapter 3, 30, verse number 30, is one of the most important pivotal slogas in the whole of Bhagavad-Gita. In the centerpiece of Karma Yoga, actually, you can say, centerpiece of Karma Yoga, which is described in chapter 30, chapter 3, is this 30th verse. It is about how you channel your powers of thinking without the past, without the future, and with the present completely taking you into an actionable, dynamics. I'm going to talk about that a little bit on this. This is a cognitive psychology that has been brought about by Gita Charya in the Bhagavad-Gita. Which these are details of how we actually look at these things. We'll look at that. Let's look at that now. For that, there is a practical thing that I want to do. Before looking at this in detail, we'll talk about a practical scenario, which is some analytics that has been actually coming in from the modern management sciences, etc. So I'm going to actually discuss something called as talent curse. Talent curse, the curse of being a talented person. Okay. For example, this is one of the things that has recently appeared in the Harvard Business Review articles. So it's nothing but this slogan in solution. Okay, as a solution to the problem faced by many people, talent curse. Let's look at that. Talent curse. Uh, so this is a very advanced practical application of this. What do you call as the secret of success? To understand the secret of success as well as to therefore try to imbibe that into our workplace, etc. Let us look at this, the talent curse. You can try to connect it with your daily work experiences or even at home. If there is any area which is not clear, you can ask me also, raise your hand icon, and then I can stop and then we'll discuss. So there are two things about the curse. Talent curse is, as I said, you carry that the aura of your invincing talent or brilliance, etc., to any place, and then you have to keep that. And because you have to keep that, you fall into some traps. That is the talent curse. Did you understand that situation? I think you can. I hope you understand what I am talking about, right? The talent curse. If you have not understood what talent curse is, please raise the hand and I can explain it further. So, the curse has got two aspects. One is idealization. The second is identification. Let's see what idealization means. The idealization is about the praise of the promise of the talented. You go to a company with this brilliant academic record, or you join, you actually separate from your existing company and you go to work in another company because of your expertise in that area is being recognized by that new place. They gave you the job because of your area of expertise. I mean, the expertise that you bring forth. So you go there with all that aura of expertise. So what will happen is everyone in that new place where you have gone to, they think you are coming with this expertise, knowledge, and specialization, and therefore they think that your promise is too high. I mean, there is a lot of promise that you bring to the organization. They think about you as that. So what is happening to you? I cannot fail. If I fail, it is like a deflated balloon, isn't it? Because I carry a lot of expectations of the other people on me, and I am aware of it, and I think that therefore I should not make any mistake. Suppose you make a mistake, immediately all that promise is lost in the minds of the other people. So you're looking at the minds of the other people, how they look at you. So praise of the promise of the talented. So this opportunity that you have now got becomes an obligation on your part because others are expecting too much out of you. And you have that feeling. That is what is called as idealization. They think you are the ideal. You are the role model. Come, okay. So, and therefore you have that kind of, that is a curse that you have to live with. Then the same thing, if you look at it in a different aspect, is called as identification, which is the burden of the promise being shouldered by the talent. I have that burden. I identify with that burden. So I think, because I am an expert, I know I should not fail. The moment I think that I should not fail, I should not take a wrong step. I have to prove myself now immediately. The first time, first opportunity I get, I have to prove. That is a burden on me. People identify with you as a talented person and you take the burden upon yourself. This is the curse. Generally, what happens? When you are actually considered, you are a specialist let's say you are considered as a calculus specialist, as a teacher. Okay, let's say. A calculus specialist, and is considered, you are in a higher class, you are teaching, let's say, whatever it is, and they think that, you are a super teacher and super calculus teacher. And therefore, some of the students have already identified some of the HOT type questions and are ready for that. Some of the toughest questions in the world in that specific area, and they are ready to ask the teacher, because the teacher, the students have, they recognize you as the expert, and therefore they think that here comes my promise, the teacher who will solve my problems. And the teacher on her side or his side, what does he think? The burden of the problem is I have to now prove. And if the first question they throw at you, you fumble and you are not able to, and then you have to say, look, I think I have to work it out a little. Let me go home. Tomorrow I'll come back. That is a failure on your side. If you say that, isn't it? And you are aware of it. It is being, you are getting defeated by the first question thrown at you. That is a burden that you have to carry. This is the curse of the talent. This is the problem of building that kind of, going with that kind of, it doesn't mean that you have to, you should not become a talented person. No, it is not that. It is saying that such talented people have a problem. Why? So we are now, this paper is trying to analyze why you should not do that. Yes, you are talented. You can always say, look, it is should have the humility and the humbleness to accept situations and tell them straight away that, look, yes, it is a difficult question. It is not something that is easy. It will take time. And I will come back to you within the next couple of days. There is nothing wrong in it. You don't have to feel burdened about it. That is what Gita is teaching us. That is what this sloga is teaching us. We should not waste your energies on such things. So that situation is being analyzed in this paper. That's it. So I thought that it's a very good example of the application of secret of success in the daily, workplace scenarios. And in fact, this is some 2-3 years back paper, which has analyzed this situation. And when I read that paper, I could see the Bhagavad-Gita sloga running through that. That is basically what it is all about. Every sloga in the Bhagavad-Gita like this, you can find it in most of the modern analytical papers that appear in terms of efficiencies, solutions, productivity, creativity, innovation, and all those things that appear in this in the various areas of knowledge. Okay, so that is okay. And then what happens? Okay, so let us look at this situation. It is about using the talent and proving it is the problem. Using your talent lies in the present. Using the talent now is the present. Proving your talent, proving it is lying in the future. Recognition of the talent. Where does the recognition of the talent comes from? You are recognized. Meaning what? Your reputation from the past is coming. So the past, the future, and the present is now playing a trick. Performance orientation. When you are always performance oriented, it is rooted in the future. Learning orientation is rooted in the present. So there are organizations, like for example, leadership in organizations. The environment that the leadership needs to provide in organizations is which one? Is it performance orientation or learning orientation? Think about that. As a leader, as a leader in an organization, or people who are manning the HR policies and other things. So the highest leadership also has to play that same role. In the sense of alignment with this principle that the Gita teaches. What is it? There are two. First of all, let us simply choose one of this. Performance orientation and learning orientation. Which is best? Which is better for an organization? Anyone?
Performance.
Yeah. Actually, Anandji, that is wrong. Because performance oriented, if you are fully performance oriented, only you are looking at the future. Whereas an organization that actually nourishes and builds a learning orientation in their teams is rooted in the present, which will automatically produce performance orientation later. But if you are fully performance oriented, then that is going to instill anxiety into the people's minds. It is going to be, because there is performance orientation. If you don't perform, you're out. But if you don't perform, then what is the reason for not performing? And then and the organization is interested in giving you the relevant knowledge, experiences, or training, etc., and build you also, help to build you also. Then that becomes a learning orientation, which is rooted in the present. That is what this paper is discussing. So organizations that have a culture of learning orientation last longer. If you look at any company that is 100 plus years after its founding fathers started the organization, you can find that there will be more of a learning orientation in that company and not a performance. Performance oriented companies are looking only at the profits, immediate profits, which is actually profit is coming in the future. So it is future oriented. Whereas I'm trying to understand, learning is in the present. It is not something that is future. The process of learning happens now. So that is what it is talking about. And it is also about image versus authenticity. The image, talented, there are some images that happen in the organizations of the 21st century, and not even 21st, even 20th century also. It was like that last 50 years. If you look at it, it is like this. Talented people only become future leaders. That is the kind of image that everybody creates. Leaders, and those leaders conform to organizational culture. So without talent, you cannot rise. Or only if you create the aura of talent that you brings in, then only you become a leader, is basically what people think. So what happens is, everybody who wants to become a leader always will try to show that he or she is talented, and will avoid opportunities that will actually make him fail. So he will not take risks. Such people. So a performance-oriented company, and that is, and an individual that is image-oriented, talent-oriented, what happens is they will always try to stick to the driven path, because they want to avoid failures. They will not take risks. There will be no innovation in that place. And you understand that? That is what is happening. So they continue to display only one aspect, these individuals. So if I am working, I am a very talented, let's say, in some particular domain, and I come to a company, I start working in a company, and the company is performance oriented. So that means there will be no R&D there, research and development there. They are more interested in making the money, the fast buck. So the people working there are also they also start getting oriented towards that because of the pressure. So what happens is that they start focusing on some aspects of their own capabilities only. They don't risk anything. They don't do anything extra. They don't look around, and they flatten out. And that person is limited. Therefore, over a period of time, what happens is maybe 10 years or 15 years later, you will find the organization dipping, because the people are dipping inside. They are not given the freedom to innovate and freedom to think and make mistakes. Making mistakes is a crime in the new organizations. That is what is happening. Current responsibilities, current, if you make compromises, are for better future. Present becomes meaningless, because you are always looking at the results. And even if you don't, look at the newer aspects or new knowledge to bring forth, because then that will delay the whole thing, or that may even maybe the project will not meet its deadline, and it will become a problem, and you don't get the money. So the present is meaningless there, because everything is geared towards the future success. So the future is driving us, and therefore our present becomes less and less meaningful. That is what basically what happens if this culture of performance orientation is driving everybody. So you are, and this performance orientation is also is about expectations about you from from others, and therefore the expectations of other people are driving you. And your own talent you are not developing, and you are, I mean, because you are getting stagnant, you are not looking at the newer knowledge that is coming in, newer developments that are coming in, therefore you are getting blunted, you are getting flattened out. So to break out of your comfort zones, take risks, etc., you need to actually not be a prisoner to these kind of mental feelings of idealization and identifications. You may have to sometimes take non-conforming risks. That is, you may have to take, not stick to the beaten path, but do something out of the box, etc. And then only you will be able to develop. So, making the present matter. The present is your destination, not the future, is basically what being in the present means, or mindfulness means. The present, the process is the goal. The present is the goal, not the results. So that is basically what we have been, the application-wise we have been looking at. And let us also look at the inner mental processes. We'll just quickly go through that in a few minutes, and then that will give you an idea about why the Gita, Bhagavad-Gita, has actually started talking about these things. 5,000 years back, it is a wonder that such descriptive analytics have taken place. Even though it may not be rooted in neuroscience or anything, but at least now modern science is actually proving some of these strategies as the intuitive strategies of our Gita Charya, the seers being wonderfully ready to equip the modern world. So if you look at the in general, memories are sequential in order. All our memory. Like for example, if I tell you to count from 1 to 100, you can count very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But instead, if I ask you to count from 100 to back to 1, you will find, you can see there is a kind of struggle within you. You can all experience that struggle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 99, 90, 90. Then suddenly there is a break. There is a break when you are reverse. A to Z, A to C, A, B, C, D. You can just like that. But back Z, Y, X. You have a problem, isn't it? Try that. It happens. This is because nature has designed our memories to be sequential. And if suppose we also started with Z to A instead of A to Z, we would have done that one well, but A to Z would have been difficult for us. Because that is how we build the memories. Right from childhood, we build the memories. And the memory is built in a sequential manner. Because that is the only way nature knows to build it. So the memories are sequential in order. And they, therefore, our memories are stored as kind of patterns within our, okay? The brain is something that actually identifies patterns, and the capacity to identify these patterns is basically what is called as our intelligence, etc., etc. So, I mean, without going into the details, just understand that our sequenced memory is composed of several kinds of patterns, and those patterns are also in an hierarchical order. It is hierarchically organized also. In the sense, you always think about things like if you want to go to some place, you initially think about the larger area of, let's say I want to go to let's say some place from which I know very well, so I'm talking about that. I want to go to Kacheri in Cochin city. So generally, the mind is organizing the spatial geographical location in a very fast manner, but in a hierarchical manner. Okay, Kerala. Okay, Ernakulam district, the city of Cochin. See, things start coming into our mind in that order when I start thinking in details. So hierarchy, the state, the district, the city, and then the city, the regions within that city, and specific areas, neighborhoods in that city, and then I home in onto this place called as Kacharipadi or whatever it is. Okay, so this is the way our memory works. You can in several things that you do, you can actually try out this and then see how things are, things are coming back to meaning within our mind in a hierarchical manner. And what happens is many a times some of these patterns may not be clearly, coming back to your memories. Some of them will be hazy, but some are sharp. Some things are sharp, but some are hazy. You can think about anything, and you will find the details when you start looking at something in a detailed manner from maybe 10 years back. Some instance in your life, some occasion or something. Okay, the marriage of somebody, the wedding ceremony, the wedding function that took place 15 years back, in 1910 or 2010, let's say, in some place. Think about it. Initially, what comes to mind is a larger picture, and then you start thinking, okay, did you have if somebody asks some detailed questions about some specific thing that happened between 10 and 10:30 in the morning at that place, suddenly your mind will start working out the details, and you will find that a lot of things are hazy, some of them are clear. And then with the hazy things and the clear things in combination, you come up to the conclusion that yes, you are right, that happened. You can say that. So partial patterns. So your memory should be handled in partial patterns. You have the capacity to handle partial patterns. Okay, so this is how your memory is sequenced. The memory part of it. Now, you actually, when you start doing things, expectations are driving you. I want this, so the desire for results. Expectations drive you. Memories come back and help us. And you start interpreting things, and this interpretation itself helps you in perceiving better. There is a loop like that, and it goes on. In addition to that, there are sense stimuli. Some stimuli also comes in. Like, for example, as you are trying to remember, your friend helps you with some other, okay, at that time, this person came and we introduced ourselves. Do you remember that? The external stimuli is suddenly triggering the memory. So external stimuli comes in, and you act in this world. This is how all of us act in this world. As a summary, let us look at it in this fashion. So basically, what is happening is we have the memory of the past that is driving us. We have expectations from the future that is driving us, and at the current, with this memory and with these expectations, in the present, we are working. And what is driving us in the present? It could be higher order thought and emotions. Higher order thought, meaning sometimes you will say, oh, no, I should not do that. It is wrong. That right and wrong feeling is what I am calling it as higher order thoughts are driving you. Or emotions. Sometimes when you are angry, the anger drives you in the present. So emotions and higher order thoughts are things that drive you in the present. So memory from the past, expectations on the future, and higher order thoughts and emotions in the present are driving you. This is what Krishna is talking about as the three things. And these are the three energy wasting things that could happen if they are not higher, if you are driven not by higher order thoughts, instead of that by selfish interests, that will be driving you away from doing something good for the society. So the supreme motivations should be driving basically in the present. And we have discussed the supreme motivations previously in terms of focus, commitment, taking ownership, prioritization, diligence, working, ability to follow through with your actions, etc. Larger goals, not the results, higher goals. Goals, we are talking about goals in taking initiatives, self-management, teamwork, perspectives and followerships. So supremely motivated, without selfish expectations and ego, and avoiding all mental agitations. By working in the present, one can achieve success unlimited. That is what this sloga teaches us. So, it is about self-leadership, developing your own skills and knowledge, developing your connectivity with the people around, empathy, and upholding value systems. about this is basically what the success patterns are, and applied in this age of living and self leadership. Some of these principles we will again touch upon later on, of skills and knowledge components, people component, value components. At the moment, I just summarized it here, but we will be touching upon this in detail at a later stage. So that is what this sloga is all about. And with this kind of an attitude, aptitude, and approach, if we can apply our thought process, then there are 4 categories of thinking, because of which there are 4 categories of people that result in this world. That is basically what is now described in the 4th chapter, which we will look at in the next session. Okay. So today, let us conclude by the Gita Arati, and then we can discuss.